All right, folks, welcome back to the Spread Zone, presented by FanDuel. My name is Riz. With me, as always, Tim McKernan and Anthony Stalter. The whole purpose of this here show is to help you win money.
Yeah.
So last week, first of all, what an exciting weekend of football this is going to be. Well, you got the divisional playoffs, and then next Monday, we've got the college football championship. So what we'll do is we'll pick all the divisional round games, and then we'll do our college football pick. But Tim, how did we do last week?
Well, last week was incredibly exciting as well across the board, with one of the two college football playoff games, Ole Miss and Miami, being thrilling. And then the vast majority of the NFL wildcard round games being thrilling as well.
Well, I mean, watching them over the weekend, it was probably, some of the most exciting football I've ever seen. As far as the cluster of games go, and compare that to last year's wild card
blowouts,
which were all blowouts.
Yeah, which we discussed in the last podcast.
That's correct.
Yeah, that was thrilling. I mean, even the two games that weren't good,
we're still
New England and the Chargers, it was a game until the fourth quarter.
Right.
And then the Monday night game, Houston and Pittsburgh, it wasn't great, but it was still close until Houston had the defensive touchdown.
And even still, the storylines were there to make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we've watched some good football over these past couple weeks.
And we should be in store for more, with 4 in the NFL and the one college football playoff game on Monday night, the national championship game. But last week, not kind to the Spread Zone podcast. Riz, 1-4.
Oh, yuck.
0-1. The one win, Panthers plus 10.5.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah.
The lock, the Steelers plus 3.5 against the Texans, came up short. Anthony, 1-4. 0-1 on the lock. The Eagles minus 4.5 against the 49ers. I went 3-2, but also lost my lock. I was on the Jaguars and Bills over 52.5.
Oh, skunked.
Yeah, 0-3 on the locks.
Oh, yeah.
That hurts. The records now.
I don't even want to know. It doesn't matter.
I'll whisper it to Anthony. Riz is 50-74.
Man.
Anthony, I am trailing you by 5/100ths of a point. I'm 63-68 for 48.09% against the spread. You are 65-70 for 48.14% against the spread, and that is where things stand.
I don't know how you guys feel. I was disgusted with myself.
No, what
after this week.
First of all,
I was disgusted.
I was very proud of myself because the first game of the weekend was the Panthers-Rams game.
Carolina almost won outright,
and I'm like, we're looking good, Riz. We're looking good. If we get this first one, here we go. Everything's coming up, Riz.
I couldn't have been more wrong on damn near every game.
Yeah.
I said 2 underdogs had no shot of winning. Carolina almost beat the Rams outright in the first game. And the Eagles did lose to San Francisco. I completely overestimated the injuries for the 49ers, which really haven't been an issue all year.
They've
been losing guys constantly, and they lost George Kittle earlier in that game. They won. I'm disgusted with myself.
Which of your losses hurt the most?
That one.
That was the one?
I did not even consider the 49ers. I did not consider them.
I lost on the Miami Ole Miss under a 50.5, which looked glorious going into the fourth quarter. And I think they scored 27 points in the fourth quarter of that game. And then I missed the Bills and Jaguars by, I guess, a point and a half.
Yeah, point and a half. And really, the total was 51.5. So a kickoff.
But you
had it at 52.5.
The ones that I loved, the Patriots against the Chargers, that struck me as somewhat obvious, but I'm under 500, so what the hell do I know? Bears and Packers over, that got there, but that was tenuous in the early going. We were talking about wind conditions, which we'll have to...
And I don't even remember what my win was. This is how bad I was.
You were on the Packers minus 1.5 against the Bears. Your win was the Miami minus 3.5 against Ole Miss. Riz, your win was the Panthers.
Which was lucky because if Carson Beck doesn't go into the end zone there at the end.
Going into OT.
The one that hurt me the most was that Jaguars game because I think I took Jaguars money line.
Oh, yeah, and you had the 10-yard quarterback sneak.
Yeah, and what was that? For a while, it was every team going into the 2-minute warning trailing wound up winning.
Yes.
Yep.
And the Bills did. Yeah. I thought watching that game, the way that Jacksonville was moving the ball, I thought for sure we were headed for overtime.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen goes in.
Yeah.
They had to get a touchdown, so I don't blame them. Like some people are discussing, well, do you take a couple of knees and take the shot? No, you have to score a touchdown. So they get in. Minute left, timeout in the back pocket. I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to get into Buffalo territory, and they were going to be able to kick the field goal to go, at the very least, go to overtime.
So convinced,
I'm
so convinced the Jags were going to win that game, and I was convinced for a week out. I thought the Jaguars, this was going to be their year to make a run.
The door was open. Did you know the Bills are the favorite now to win the AFC per FanDuel? How about that?
I could see it.
The Bills are the
conditions
this week
were
against
right.
Broncos.
They were at home. The weather was good. Trevor Lawrence was looking good. They had it all.
Better team.
They were the better team.
They got Josh Allen.
His first ever playoff road win.
Disgusted with myself.
All
right, so
I completely changed things. By the way, I went into the lab. You're going to see a different. You're going to see.
Wow.
A different,
Oh yeah, into the lab.
You're going to see a different.
I like this passion.
You're going to see a different Tony Stalter here.
Nice. Oh, when you start calling yourself Tony, that's when I back away.
Listen, this week is a big one. So NFL divisional round plus the college football national championship. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe let's do the college football game first.
Okay.
Let's talk about next Monday, Indiana versus Miami for the title at Hard Rock Stadium, literally Miami's home building. Does that play into your pick?
The home building itself does not. The only thing that I can think could be something that I would put in the positive category for the Hurricanes is that they don't have to travel and they can go back to wherever it is that they reside and have that comfort and that routine. Other than that, I don't think there's going to be a home field advantage. I think you're going to have Indiana
stands. Are Indiana alums going to travel?
Yes.
I
have a number of friends who went to Indiana, and they're like, I have to come to terms with the fact that I'm going to spend $4,000 on a ticket.
$3,500 ticket.
But they're going to be... You got guys who haven't seen each other in years getting together in South Florida in January for their team that they never thought would ever make a game of this magnitude. They are going to be going all out, and I would imagine that you will have as many, if not more, Indiana fans in the crowd than Miami, as crazy as that might sound on the surface.
I think Miami being at Hard Rock, it matters. Crowd comfort, routine, travel. It's not everything, but it's not nothing. So what do you think about this game? Tim McKernan, Miami, Indiana for the national championship. What are you taking?
Well, last week we detailed a scenario that I have in which I bet Miami on a futures bet 2 weeks out before the college football playoff rankings. For the record, Anthony, I hedged approximately 11.5% of my all-in winnings if Miami were to win on Ole Miss. So I still have about 88% to play around with for the game. To live bet, which would provide an opportunity. Because right now, Indiana's minus 340 on the money line. And the spread is up to 8.5. In some places have it at 9. FanDuel, 8.5.
And that number's held steady for a couple of days.
Yeah, now it has, because it started at 7.5, then it went up, and now it's holding steady at 8.5. I cannot, anytime you have the public loving a team and a line as much as the public at this moment loves Indiana, it forces me to just involuntarily go the other direction. It's just the way that it has worked historically. At the same time, as I saw Scott Van Pelt said right after that game against Oregon, he goes, at this point, how can you go against Indiana? Miami, in order for Miami to win, this is the recipe that it has to be. I feel like they have to be able to run the ball. That goes without saying. They have to be able to get defensive line pressure on Mendoza, and they cannot fall behind by double digits, because if they do, I don't think that their offense lends itself to a comeback. Their success is through the ground. Don't get me wrong. Carson, back to his credit, did some wonderful things in leading the comeback against Ole Miss. I'm going to take Miami and the 8.5 points. That's where I am.
Anthony?
This is my lock.
Ooh, man, locking it up early. Anthony Stalter. Tony Stalter.
Tony Stalter.
Tony Stalter
Yeah.
this week.
This is
Tony
big for me, 'cause
Stalter.
I'm riding with this guy this week.
Lock of the week.
I don't like going by Tony, okay? My mother said to me, listen,
You're Anthony.
you're Anthony.
But in this spot,
But in
after
this
how mad
spot,
you are.
At 1-4, that version of Anthony's got to go. All right. This is my lock. Now, I do like Indiana as a program, but when I saw this line, I was shocked. I was even more shocked to what Tim just said,
This makes me feel good.
that so many people are on Indiana. Have we not seen Miami play? They just faced an offense that does what? Gets the ball quickly. You got to rally to tackle. I didn't think Miami's defense played that well last week. Still won the game. We keep doubting Carson Beck, yet he's been in these moments before. We keep waiting for him to implode. We keep waiting for him to have the big 3-4 turnover game like Dante Moore just had. It has not happened. Give me the 8.5. Miami's my lock. I think this defensive line controls this game, keeps Miami in it. Mark Fletcher can run. And how can you not love Malachi Toney and the way that they use him? And even if he can't get going, he's still a threat to go 60, 70 yards when he gets the ball in his hands. I like some of the ancillary weapons, too, for Miami. Marion, who scored the long touchdown right before half, I think is very good. This reminds me a little bit of when the Big 12 used to have those high-powered offenses, and then they'd face the SEC, and we'd all fall in love with the offense and go, oh, yeah, that's right. The defense typically wins these games. Mm-hmm. I could see Miami winning outright. I wouldn't bet that, although, Tim, good luck.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
certainly be on that side. Give me Miami 8.5. That's my lock.
How about that? If Tony Stalter's rolling with me. Now, here's a big moment in this podcast history, because anytime we all go one direction, we have problems. So this is a critical moment.
Indiana is the most complete team, aren't they? I mean, they're 15-0. They destroyed Oregon.
I feel a buck coming on, Tim.
56-22.
Yeah.
They deserve to be favored. But
Oh, boy.
I think Miami has a real keep it ugly path. Like, their defensive front is their calling card. If they could create a couple of these like high leverage moments, a sack, a tip ball pick, a short field, they could live in that one score zone. That's why that 8.5 looks pretty good. I'm not fading Indiana's story, but I'm buying the number Miami within a touchdown. And as I mentioned before, I think Miami being at Hard Rock matters. So give me Miami plus the 8.5.
This could really wind up being like
How about this? How about
30 to 23-ish kind of situation where Indiana wins and Miami covers.
as I'm looking at the FanDuel app, as you know, we always do prior to the show, I'm looking at some of these props, and here's a bonus for you. Prop time. Malachi Toney, anytime touchdown, plus 145.
Good. That's a great number. He's gonna get looks. They love him to run.
Little quick passes.
They love to get the ball in his hands on the outside.
99 catches, 1,089 yards, 9 touchdowns this season. Scored versus Texas A&M, scored versus Ole Miss. And he's not just a stand there and run routes guy. He's a primary target, plus punt returns, and some run game touches. So more ways to score equal more paths to cash. The plus 140, plus 145. So
I like it, Riz.
throw him with that prop on there too. Malachi Toney, anytime touchdown.
Now, Tim, are we 0-2 or 0-3 when we're all in the same?
I've got us at 0-2 when we all are on the same.
Small sample.
Sure.
Small sample.
That's right.
And we didn't. By the way, we didn't discuss this.
I
prior
had
to the
no
show.
idea where you were going. I thought you were about to take Indiana, and I was
sir.
going to be doomed.
No.
No, this is a big moment. I will say this. I think the number size is geared towards something that for those of us who are on Miami have to like. Indiana played about as great of a game as they could. Oregon played about as bad of a game as they could. And I think for those who watched the Miami and Ole Miss game, I think everybody would agree that Miami should have won that game much more comfortably than they did, and it was their self-inflicted wounds that led to that game being close. Dropped interception opportunities, certainly penalties, and then also some strange play calling when they clearly could run the ball and Ole Miss couldn't stop it. And people might go, well, that's Miami. That's what they do. They get dumb penalties. Well, they didn't have one penalty that was accepted by Ohio State when they beat Ohio State, so they can play a sound game. They will have to do that to beat a team as complete as Indiana, as you just said, Riz. The talent is there. They're going to have to get pressure on Mendoza, and they're going to have to be able to establish that ground game early on against the Indiana defense. Oregon was trying to do it without a running game whatsoever. They had to have freshmen in there and guys who didn't play running back in there. That's why that didn't exist for the Ducks on Friday night.
Real quick, because I know we're going to move on, but Davison not being in that game. Oregon lost Davison in their previous win. Had I known that he was completely out, I may have looked at that game differently. Because he was the only back that moved the ball against Indiana in the first meeting, and he's been the only back that I think has picked up tough yards in the playoffs. He was out, and granted, the pick six put you in a bad spot, but let's not forget they went back down the field and tied it.
Yes,
but their inability to run the ball and had put so much on Moore made it one-sided. Miami's not going to be one-sided.
Yeah,
we're all in Miami plus 8.5.
Defining moment, critical moment.
Tony Stalter's lock of the week.
Let's go spread
Tony
zone.
Stalter, that's a different guy.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk NFL divisional round. We'll talk Saturday games first. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, and we're back on the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel, talking NFL divisional round. We'll talk the Saturday games first, and we'll start with the first game on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Central Time, the Bills at the Broncos. And we'll start with Tony Stalter.
Well, as I said, this is going to be different, all right? So everybody hang with me on this. In 14 career playoff games, Josh Allen has averaged just over 50 rushing yards per game. That includes 46 rushing yards against Denver in this meeting last year. Now, it was a wild card game. It was in Buffalo, wasn't in Denver, but two teams met a year ago. Allen had 46 rushing yards. If we go one step further, in 5 road playoff games, Josh Allen has averaged 64 rushing yards per game. So 50 overall in the 14 career playoff games, 64 again when he's on the road. Obviously, they're on the road again. Give me Josh Allen over 36.5 rushing yards against the Broncos. That number's way too low.
I
in
like
my
that
opinion.
play. Something's odd there. I agree with you. That is a low number for him.
Absolutely. So again,
I would have
last
set
year
that around 45 to 50 if I were setting it.
and now he's a little banged up.
It's got to be the fact.
He limped off the field a couple times.
He did. But he's going
week.
to play, and Joe Brady is going to use that guy as a battering ram again. But if you look at the playoff numbers, again, average is 50 rushing yards per playoff game. It's a different dude when he gets into the playoffs. So I don't know if maybe the averages are skewed.
Maybe need some more of those 10-yard tush pushes.
That'd be fine too.
What are they calling that, the Buffalo Plow? Have you heard that called the Buffalo Plow?
Buffalo Plow? I'll take it.
Where they push him in the end zone?
Why don't you do about four of those then?
Yeah.
We'll get over this 36.5 rushing yards. But clearly these numbers are too tight, spreads and totals. I had to take a dive into the props. That's where I'm going. Josh Allen over 36.5 rushing yards.
Tim.
I really like that play.
Thank you, sir.
Surprised by that number, too. But this is Tony Stalter. This is a different guy.
This guy that was in the lab. He had his lab coat on.
I'm telling you, I did.
I'm seeing beakers and things bubbling and
no
Bunsen
reason.
burners for no reason.
Nope.
Unique set of circumstances here with a team going on the road against a team that was on a bye, and they are the favorite against said team. But the Bills are indeed, depending on where you're seeing the number, it's moving back and forth. The last I got it is 1.5. But the Bills are getting it currently, but it's gone back and forth. I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I think that this is a team that finally is going to get there. I like them getting to the Super Bowl. I realize it's going to have to be a road trip throughout to get there, but I will take the Bills against the Broncos on Saturday.
This will be my FanDuel lock of the week.
Wow.
Okay, so it's plus 1.5 for the Broncos, right? So the Bills are the favorite. CBS Sports had their spread projection at Denver minus 3.5. So getting points is a value on this. Denver has the rest edge, and Buffalo's coming to that wild card round with key damage. Gabe Davis, ACL. Jordan Poyer, hamstring, likely out. I am taking Denver plus 1.5 as my FanDuel lock of the week.
Wow.
Broncos plus 1.5 is the lock. So,
I'm
that means
assuming-
I'm Bills or minus 1.5 then. So that is Bills minus 1.5 on my pick. You're getting 1.5.
Yeah, I'm getting 1.5.
all right.
Again, CBS had this at Denver minus 3.5 at first.
Yeah, I'm legitimately surprised by the line.
No, I know you're taking the 1.5, and it could get goofy, right?
Yeah.
I could see this being a 1-point game just because it's,
I don't know.
it's weird,
I would
but-
play it to 1, but
Well, I mean, you probably take the money line, right? I don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Maybe 1.5, maybe plus 105, maybe on the money line. So, all right.
all right, next game up, we've got Saturday, 7 p.m. Central Time. It's the 49ers at the Seahawks. Tony?
This is what the lab cooked up here. And when I say the lab, I mean me in the lab. Seahawks running back, Kenneth Walker. He has faced the Niners 7 times in his career. In those 7 games, he has 27 total receptions. Now, this isn't a running back that typically sees a lot of receptions, but he's got 27 total receptions in 7 games against the Niners. That averages to 3.9 receptions per game. So as I'm looking through things, I'm like, all right, how do the odds stack up? Kenneth Walker, his total for receptions this weekend, 1.5. He has cleared that number in every game against the Niners that he has played. Every single game that he has faced the 49ers, he's had at least 2 receptions per game. If you're wondering how he fared against the Niners this year, caught 4 passes in that Week 18 game against the Niners, and then 3 passes in the Week 1 meeting. So there's something about Robert Saleh's defense that Clint Kubiak, the OC for Seattle, is looking at and likes to involve Kenneth Walker in the passing game. So Kenneth Walker over 1.5 receptions.
Speaking of solid,
It's a little pricey, by the way. It's like minus 160 at FanDuel.
Right.
But look, we're trying to get the picks right at this.
speaking of Robert Saleh, just for my mind, there are now 9. Is it 9 coaching openings?
Yeah.
Yes.
As
in the
we're sitting
NFL?
With the Steelers.
Does Saleh get another job
Yes.
after the season?
Yes.
Yeah, I would expect so.
Yeah, he's gonna if he wants it, because he's if you're looking at it and you're him, you're like, hey, I don't want another Jet situation where I'm
Right.
just stepping into a dead man walking situation. So he's got a sweet deal in San Francisco. They love him. I'm sure they're paying him a lot of money because he wanted to take a year off, and Kyle Shanahan begged him to come back to San Francisco. So he's sitting pretty. Maybe he waits and says, hey, I'll choose the situation if I can get a quarterback. But
So do you know-
he's going to be a head coach again?
So with Tomlin stepping down from the Steelers, who is after 19 years, who is the next highest tenured coach?
Got to be Reed.
Okay. Andy Reid is correct. Who's after that?
Oh, that's a good question.
So 19 years for Tomlin. I think it's 13 years for Andy Reid.
I'm going to fire a bet on Sean McVay.
Yes.
Wow.
And
Good pull.
Kyle Shanahan. I think
kidding.
both.
Oh, okay. Stability in the West, at least
Yeah.
for 2 teams. The other 2 are turns.
It's a lot of turnover, too, if you look at the rest of the league.
Yeah.
How about the 49ers? This will be the 4th head coach. 4th. Cleveland has 4 different head coaches in the last,
Steelers for
15? Yeah, Steelers.
Steelers,
4
four.
coaches total. This will be the 4th.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I think, has 4 in the last 4 years. I'm kidding.
So
Kevin
it's
Samuels.
Knox, Cowher, Tomlin, and Noel. Noel, Cowher, Tomlin, question
that?
mark.
Jeez.
Wild.
That's incredible.
All right, Tim, let's go 49ers, Seahawks.
I'm scared. Anytime I say that, I lose. So I think the Seahawks win this thing super comfortably. I'm taking the Seahawks, and I'm laying the 7. I do think the 49ers situation will catch up with them. I also think the Seahawks are a really good team. Plus, you've got the home field advantage on a Saturday night. Seahawks minus 7. I'm thinking it's sweat-free, and the good news is the market might now overvalue the 49ers because they won in Philadelphia.
Yep.
I think that might be more of an indictment of the Eagles situation than the 49ers. Seahawks minus 7. I feel real good about it.
I'm rolling with Tim.
Nice.
So I think
water's
there's a
warm.
rest advantage for sure. Seattle didn't play, wild card weekend, came in healthy. That matters in the divisional. 49ers lost Kittle to a torn Achilles. And I think that is not like a next man up situation. That's a major identity piece of that team gone.
That kills him, by the way, in the running game.
With Kittle gone?
Kittle is an outstanding run blocker. So that's a huge piece missing.
Week 18, let's not forget about that. That was not too long ago. Seattle dominated the Niners offensive line. Even if Trent Williams helps stabilize things, losing Kittle changes how defenses can play them. So I'm laying it with Seattle because it's not just better team, it's better situation, plus rest, plus matchup, plus key injury. Seattle -7 for me. All right. Those are the Saturday games.
Yes.
We'll take one final break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Sunday divisional games. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, we're back on the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel, talking NFL divisional round. We're talking the Sunday games. First up, Texans at Patriots. It's the Sunday 2 p.m. Central game, and I'll start with Anthony Tony Stalter.
So this is the one I initially leaned the under because I don't know how we get to 42 points. The number's 41.5. I don't know how we get there, but I looked at the prop plays, and a lot of people talking about how CJ Stroud, and look, he was bad. He turned the ball.
He was not great.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Football.
So we can all agree he was terrible in that game. Do you know he still threw for 250 yards? Nico Collins was taken away.
Yeah, without Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Big Christian Kirk night.
It was, which is weird. I didn't see that coming. But with CJ Stroud, Nico Collins was blanketed by Joey Porter. Then, of course, he gets the concussion in the second half. But bottom line is Nico Collins did not impact that game much, and Stroud still threw for 250 yards. The only time that he has not thrown for 212.5 yards, which is the number, was against Baltimore in the playoffs a couple of years ago. So I'm just looking at CJ Stroud's playoff yardage: 250, 245, 282, 274, and 175. The 175 was against a good Baltimore defense. So give me CJ Stroud over 212.5 passing yards.
Wow.
I think the odds makers have adjusted this too much because of the loss of Nico Collins.
What's the over-under on the game?
41.5.
Oh, it's low.
Yeah.
It took Drake May a little while to kind of get into his groove.
It did. Yeah. He played well.
He played well in the second half of the game.
Right. But it was a little shy. I mean, he had to run a lot.
Yeah.
So I just see this. I do not see Woody Marks running as well as he did against Pittsburgh. The running game for Houston's not great. I think they're going to have to lean on Stroud. You still got Kirk. You still got Jaden Higgins. You still got Schultz, the tight end. You got a lot of weapons that Stroud can use to get us over that 212.5.
Tim.
For a team that I feel like is rather omnipresent in the NFL's postseason over the last decade or so, they also haven't had much success, and I'm talking about the Texans. But when I saw them before the playoffs got going at plus 1,200, it was an intriguing play because I do consider the AFC to be pretty wide open, especially relative to previous years. This is a good team that I think is thought of differently in the sense that, man, they've got a good defense. The Collins situation, something to keep a close eye on. I'm going to go with the Texans plus 3 in New England. I will take Houston, and they could very well be hosting themselves an AFC championship game if Buffalo does indeed get it done in Denver. Who would have seen that one coming? Houston plus 3, Riz.
Okay, Tim. Flip it. I'm going Patriots.
You're going Patriots.
3, yeah. Because I think injury dominoes matter. Nico Collins is in concussion protocol, coming off Monday's game. New England's Christian Gonzalez is also in protocol, so this could swing. But if Collins is limited or out, Houston's ceiling changes. Texans offense, it was a messy win. There were turnovers. There were stretches of nothing. That's not a profile I want laying points with on the road in January. I got this feeling about New England, and I have Drake May in my fantasy league, so I'm taking the Patriots. I also have Nico Collins, which is not great.
No,
but Drake May is my quarterback, rolling through this fantasy playoff thing I got going on. So give me the Patriots minus 3.
Right.
All right, the final game we're talking about, it's the Rams at the Bears. It's Sunday, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Anthony Stalter.
All right, hang with me here. I know I'm giving people a lot of numbers.
Oh,
but
I like it.
I mean,
this Tony Stalter's a whole new
locked
man.
in on the numbers. So 8 career playoff games for Matthew Stafford with Sean McVay. Okay, so it's not, we're going to eliminate the 2 that he had with Detroit. He's averaged just over 36 pass attempts per game. He attempted 42 passes in that narrow win against Carolina last week, 44 passes in the divisional round matchup with the Eagles last year. He only attempted 27 passes against the Vikings in the wild card round last year. Rams didn't need to do much, though, through the air because they were dominating the Vikings. That game, as well as a blowout win against the Cardinals in his first playoff game with the Rams, were the only 2 times that Stafford attempted fewer than 36 pass attempts. Both of those games were blowouts. So I asked myself, is this going to be a blowout with the Bears? No chance. I think the Bears and Rams, this could be a close game throughout. Sean McVay is going to lean on Stafford and the passing game. Give me Matthew Stafford over 34.5 passing attempts. I think he could get to 40, and this could be sweet.
Wow.
How about that?
And hopefully Caleb Williams and the Bears push the pace on this, and it forces the Rams to stay in it. But I think he's going to be slinging.
I noticed you staying away from spreads.
It's a whole new Tony Stalter.
I know, and I think it's a smarter Tony Stalter.
I'm moving away.
Wiser.
I had to do something.
Yeah.
I had to do something. I got a fan out there. I don't know who it is, but I got one fan, and they're expecting more out of me. So I gave it to them.
Tim?
I am looking at the same kind of game script as you are, Anthony/Tony. I think that this game is going to be a high-scoring affair, and I realize you could have a weather situation anytime you're in Chicago and playing in January.
It's going to be very cold.
And you know it's going to be cold, but that didn't stop the Bears or Packers offense this past Saturday. I expect the Rams to be putting the ball up quite a bit as well. I'm surprised that this number is this low, honestly. Last I saw it was 45.5 on the total for the Rams and Bears. I like the over on 45.5, and I honestly went and looked at it, and I figured it'd be 48.5 to 50.5. Over Bears, Rams, 45.5.
I think I've said this throughout today's podcast. Injuries do matter when it comes to these divisional games, and Chicago's wild card win cost them a tackle, Ozzie Trapilo, and a linebacker, T.J. Edwards, both season-ending injuries. And I think this really matters. And that combo can matter a lot against a team that could pressure and force mistakes. So give me the Rams laying 3.5 on Sunday,
There it is.
5:30 p.m. Central. All right, fellas, that's it. We did it.
I like this whole new Tony Stalter. This guy, this is a confident man I'm sitting next to.
I got no other personalities, so this is it. I mean, if I lose again this week, this might be empty.
It's
might be
an
somebody
empty chair.
else.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
Yep.
Your job is on the line.
Yeah.
Cardboard cutout.
Subscribe, rate the show, and listen. We'll recap next week, and hopefully we'll do better than 1 and 4. At least for this guy.
Hey, at least Tim lifted us. We really just should have mentioned Tim's pick.
Sure, absolutely. I think I had won one game out of the last 20.
Either way.
For Tony Stalter, Tim McCartan, I'm Riz. The Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. We'll see you next week.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.